Yes, pal here. This is a Guild Wars guide for the month of September 2026. I am from the guild Ocean. Ocean has been the rank 2 guild consecutively for multiple seasons in a row. As seen here, all the fights here are taken between June to August, so some fights may be outdated, but this guide will be updated all the way until Yungan. For members of the channel, you will have access to an uncensored version of the Guild Wars guide, link in the description below. Other than that, let's get into the guide. The first team is specifically made to counter any team that uses Carl. We'll be using Guan Yu, Wukong and Regret. Wukong and Guan Yu wants to be on weakness set, while Regret wants to be on the defense set for a big shield. Here's a fight showcasing this team. Secondly, we have Rudy, Clemeth and Palinus. This is the most consistent of all the physical counters, being able to counter any physical team being thrown at it. Because this is a tank based team, we want to stack as much stats as possible. That means higher transcendence level is recommended. For dedicated equipment, we want to have everything on resilience. For the equipment, we want Palinus on assassin set. Rudy can either use gatekeeper or orchestrator. Clemeth can choose between paladin, gatekeeper and orchestrator. Here is an example of this team being used.
The light of this spear will lead me to victory!
Thirdly, we have Zubu, Rangrid, and Brenzo and Brazel. This physical counter to the physical team takes advantage of the huge amount of multi-hits we are using on all 3 characters. Basically, we are just hitting them as many times as possible to get rid of dense counter stacks of immunity. For the gear, we want all 3 characters to be on Bounty Hunter set. On top of that, BMB also applies multiple stacks of bleed, which further helps us remove damage immunity stacks. Here's a clip showcasing this team.
My wailing spear burns all enemies!
Let's go! Ready? You're good!
Fourthly, we have Scout, Melia, and Sylvester. We want to go first with this team because going second is almost an entered loss, so around 315 speed to be safe. I have personally gone second even with 339 speed fighting against this. If you find yourself unable to outspeed this defense at 319 speed or more, I suggest swapping to a tanky counter team. Knowing the physical team is all in on speed, this means they won't have enough damage to break through a tanky defense. Gear-wise, we want Melia to either be on Gatekeeper or Guardian, while Scout must be on Spellweaver with Sylvester on Bounty Tracker set. Here's an example of this team being used. Fifthly, we have the standard Rangrid, Gyarados, and Wukong. This is a safe, tried and tested team that has been working since Rangrid's release. It is even made stronger now with the introduction of dedicated equipment, making it almost impossible for the attacker to lose. There are two ways to build this team. First, we can either go Wukong on Bounty Hunter, Regret on either Paladin or Guardian, or Gyarados on Spellweaver, or we can just give all three of them Orchestrator gear. The Orchestrator version has been tested to be a lot more consistent, but at a steeper cost. You need almost perfect gear and rolls to use Orchestrator set. This team also is able to beat soon run physical teams. Here is an example of this team being used.
My wailing spear kills all enemies. Victory lies straight up. Finally with me, death comes first. Here comes the final death blow. Time for me to step on. There's no use. My wailing spear kills all enemies.
6th, we have Jury, Scout and Melia. This is a very simple team to execute, everyone with speed. Same as Team 4, where you want around 315 speed. If you get outsped, swap to a tank team. But unlike the 4th team, going second does not mean you lose easily. This team is able to hold its ground even when going second. But in the case if you do lose going second and can confirm the enemy physical team has more than 315 speed, use a tank type team to counter this team. Do not use this team against Sun Run, as there's no way you will be able to out-attack Sun Run even when the Sun Run is going full speed. Here's an example of this team being used.
Death comes for me.
Seventhly, we have Zubu, Karl, and Brenzel and Brazel. Same concept with the 3rd team, many multi-hits with bleed. This team can beat all forms of physical teams no matter the composition, and you can even win going second very often. Here's an example of this team being used.
塗り替える
With me!
止まれ
With me! Comes for me! Here comes the final death blow! Victory lies straight ahead! Time to get serious!
諦めなさい逃げ場なんてないんだから
Eighthly, we have Donyang, Sylvester, and Mercure. This team is able to beat all forms of physical team being thrown at it. Make sure to queue only Mercure top and Sylvester bot, letting the AI decide the rest. Here is an example of this team being used.
Here comes the final death blow! Accept the hand of death! I'll send you over! With me! Send you all. Finally, death comes for me.
Ninthly, we have Juri, Dongyang, and Scout. The aim of this team is to finish off the physical team as quickly as possible and deny the enemy physical team revive and immortal passive effects. We want Juri and Scout to be on Spellweaver and Dongyang to be on Vanguard gear set. Here's an example of this team being used.
Victory lies straight ahead. My wailing spear burns all enemies.
Tenthly, we have Omok, Yungan, and Dongyang. This team is made to mow down physical teams. It does not matter if you go second. Do note that trying to out-attack the enemy soon run with your Yungan is not worth it. Make sure your Yungan has enough effect hit rate with 50% weakness hit chance and critical strike chance. We want to gear Dongyang with Avenger gear, Both Yungan and Omok wants to be on Bounty Tracker gear. Here is an example of this team being used.
Finally, with me, death comes for
諦
me.
めなさい。逃げ場なんてないんだから。
With me. Sense the power of destruction.
Firstly, we have Wukong and Ares. This two unit composition makes use of the fact that many magic units often have two target auto attacks. Wukong's cooldown reduction on hit combined with Ares' block-oriented reflect allows this team to destroy any melee and scout defense composition. Here's an example of this team being used. Secondly, we have Zubu, Rangrid and Karl. This team is all about damage. Because you get pushed back very often, you are relying mainly on your basing attacks to hit hard. This team is not a consistent counter to the magic team and normally used as a last resort if the enemy is spamming multiple magic defenses. If possible, use other counters first. Here is an example of this team being used.
The light of the sphere will lead to victory.
Thirdly, we have Freya, Scout and Melia. This team wants to go first, so around 315 speed is recommended. If you get outspeed at anything above 315 or maybe around 301, you want to be swapping to a defense-oriented counter team. We want Melia and Scout to be on Spell Weaver and Freya to be on Bounty Tracker. Here is an example of this team being used.
Time for me to step up.
Fourthly, we have Dylan, Rangrid and Orca. This team is specifically made to counter anything Dao-Chan. Rangrid's passive will cleanse the sleep from your entire team once casted. Gear wise, you want all 3 units to be running Bounty Tracker set. Here is an example of this team being used.
For peace and prosperity in the celestial realm! May we not be bound by a misguided past.
Here comes the final death blow.
To protect the celestial realm. For peace and prosperity in the celestial realm!
Accept the hand of death.
To restore order, to avoid chaos. To protect the celestial. May we not be bound by a misguided past.
Fifthly, we have Wukong, Elijah, and Regret. We want to run Orchestrator on Elijah, Gatekeeper on Wukong, and Paladin on Regret. This is a weaker version of the tank team. You want to use Gyarados over Elijah if possible. Here is a fight showcasing this team.
Just my fingers.
Sixthly, we have Gyarados, Regret, and Wukong. This is the optimal tank team to run against magic if possible. Same gear as the 5th team on Wukong and Regret, we want Wukong on Gatekeeper and Regret on Paladin. On Gyarados, we can either use Paladin, Spellweaver, or Guardian. Here is an example of this team being used. Seventhly, we have the classic Rudy Clemeth Paladinus attack team. This tank team is a surefire counter into almost any magic and physical defense team. We wanna be using Assassin on Paladinus, Gatekeeper or Orchestrator on Rudy, and either Paladin, Orchestrator or Gatekeeper on Clemeth. Here is an example of this team being used.
이곳의 법칙을 재설계한다.
Eighthly, we have Creel, Freya, and Vanessa. This is a poor man's version of the Scout Melia pushback setup, but still as effective. We want Creel and Freya to be on the Bounty Tracker set, and Vanessa to be on the Spellweaver set. You must go first with this team or else it's almost a guaranteed loss. Unlike the Scout Melia version where going second, you still have a 40% chance to win, going second with this team puts you at around a 10% chance of winning. Here is an example of this team being used. Ninthly, we have Dylan, Orca, and Karl. This is a standard physical team used to counter magic. You want all 3 units to be on the Bounty Tracker set. Although, this is not a consistent counter to magic and usually used as a last resort if the enemy is spamming nothing but magic-oriented defenses. Build your unit stat instead of speed focus. Your auto attacks is likely to deal a bulk of the damage and this team is built to win going second. Here is an example of this team being used.
Here comes the final death blow! This is the end! Time for me to step up! Release of the comes the final death blow.
Tenly, we have Gyarados, Phi and Dallin. Dallin can be replaced with Lubu. Both versions works very well. I personally prefer to use Dallin over Lubu so I can use Lubu for other offensive teams. This is the highest requirement of all the teams showcased in this guide, but also the best team used to counter magic in my opinion. This team requires both Transcendent 6 Phi and Gyarados to work efficiently. Without them, this team cannot function. This team uses Gyarados to stall, while Phi Stop Line Execute allows you to bypass any form of guts or immortality the enemy may have. Dallin or Lubu's function on this team is just to serve as extra DPS. We want Phi, Dallin or Lubu to be on Bounty Tracker set, making sure Phi has a 100% weakness hit chance for the Line Execute and Gyarados to be on the Spell Weaver set. Here is an example of this team being used. Elevenly, we have Sunran, Lubu and Carl. This is another 100% win rate into any magic-oriented defense team. This team is even able to easily sweep the new Dongyang defenses popping up recently. Sunran's passive allows her to dodge all forms of CC, including Scout's pushback and Dongyang's passive poison. On top of that, into defense-oriented magic defenses, Sunran has the ability to break through that defense and kill them regardless of how tanky they are. You want to build this team full stats, 0 speed, overwhelm the enemy with sheer force and damage. Sunran wants to be on Assassin gear, Carl can either use Spell Weaver or Bounty Tracker, and Lubu wants to be on Bounty Tracker set. Here is an example of this team being used. 12thly, we have Regret, Ares and Wukong. This is another standard tank team used to defeat the new Dongyang defense team. We want Regret to be on Paladin set, Wukong to be on Bounty Tracker set, and Ares to be on the Gatekeeper set. Make sure Ares has a 100% weakness hit rate, so when she casts her bottom skill, she will target the lowest health enemy and hopefully get a reset. Here is an example of this team being used. Thirteenthly, we have Helenus, Helenia, and Lina. This is another tank-oriented magic counter team. We wanna be using Assassin set on Helenus, Paladin set on both Lina and Helenia. Here is an example of this team being used.
这么长时反应一下。
14thly, we have Alice, Lina, and Amelia. This team works purely on stalling. We are going to out-heal the enemy while HP altering the enemy's team with Amelia's top skill while slapping HP seal on them as well. We want to equip Paladin set for both Lina and Alice. Amelia will be on the Gatekeeper set. Here is an example of this team being used.
By my own hand, I will purify you.
这么长时反应一下。
これが私の描く新しい世界よ。諦めなさい。逃げ場なんてないんだから。 私の手のひらの上にいるのだから。
15th, we have Noho, Melia, and Scout. This team uses the same concept as the 14th team, except we want to go first. You want to use Noho's HP alter early to trigger Scout's passive early. This team has 2 HP alter users, those being Noho and Scout. Scout's HP alter also comes with a HP seal. Noho also has attack reduction alongside buff removal built into a kit, making the enemy's hit much softer. We want to be using Guardian set on both Noho and Melia. Scout wants to be using Spellweaver gear. Here is an example of this team being used. Sixteenthly, we have Dalen, Sunrun, and Orca. It is very important that our Sunrun out-attacks the enemy Yungan. Other than that, this team is a sure fire counter to the magic team and very easy to pilot. We want bounty tracker gear on both Dalen and Orca, and either Vanguard or Assassin on Sunrun. Here is an example of this team being used.
With me! Here comes the final death blow! Sense the power of destruction! Finally, death comes for me.
17th, we have Jave, Truth, and Regrid. This is a tank-oriented counter-attack team. Yungan gains damage immunity each time he casts, Jave counterattack and Regret's hitback aims to remove those stacks passively. Truth will act as our main source of burst damage, while Jave and Regret are there to provide CC, survivability, and some chip damage. Gear wise, we want Truth to be on Bounty Tracker, Spellweaver on Jave, and Paladin on Regret. Here is an example of this team being used. Firstly, we have Ryan, Daochan and Fai. This team is built around pure damage. Make sure to go first, building Daochan with speed, 100% effect resistance and enough hit rate. We want Ryan and Fai to have 100% crit rate, weakness hit chance and effect resistance simultaneously. For gear, Daochan either wants Orchestrator or Guardian. Fai and Ryan wants to be on Bounty Tracker. Here is an example of this team being used.
잃어봐. 살려달라고. 반격의 시간이다. 뼈대로 갈아주지.
Secondly, we have Omuk, Daochan and Regenliv. This team is based around Omuk using her bottom skill to give immunity and Dao-chan resetting that bottom skill to give another 2 turns more of immunity. Reganleaf's job on this team is just to reduce the enemy's healing output. We want Reganleaf and Omok to be on the Bounty Tracker set. Dao-chan wants to be either on Guardian or Orchestrator set. Here is an example of this team being used.
Mind your manners in front of me.
May we not be bound to a misguided past. Our despair will become a ray of hope.
I can win with just my fingers.
Thirdly, we have Kriel, Omok and Reganleaf. Reganleaf is just here to provide heal cut alongside some damage and crowd control. The main advantage of this team is the ability to build full DPS without having to care about any effect resistance or being screwed over by RNG because Kriel and Omok both have CC immunity built into their kits. All 3 of our units want to be on the Bounty Tracker set. Here is an example of this team being used.
Our despair will become a ray of hope. To protect the celestial realm. Crush you all! To restore order to a world in chaos.
Firstly, we have Platin, Rudy and Ares. This team is built around the fact that Rudy's Link will trigger Platin's passive because Platin is taking damage from Link, even though the attack was not directed to Platin himself to do chip damage. Ares is there for extra damage and burst healing upon Awakening Ultimate ability activation. Platin is also very tanky because he heals himself 3 times during the fight, making him very hard to kill, especially against a tank team's lack of consistent burst damage. We want Rudy and Platin to be on the Guardian set. Ares can be on the Gatekeeper set. Here's an example of this team being used. Secondly, we have Rudy, Xamath, and Ares. This team uses speed manipulation and placement manipulation to function. Make sure Rudy is on or any position lower than the enemy's lowest unit and the lowest placement unit as well. This is so that even if we were to tie our speed, our Rudy will always auto attack second. We want Rudy to have the slowest speed of all 6 characters in the field. This way, Rudy's Orchestrator buff will stay for 2 skill rotations, so he can use his link second instead of going first. For gear, we want Rudy to be an Orchestrator, Ares to be on Gatekeeper or Bounty Tracker, Xamath to be on either Paladin, Gatekeeper, Guardian, or Paladin. Here is an example of this team being used. Thirdly, we have Miss, Wukong, and Regret. This team is not as consistent as the Ace variant but still gets the job done. For gear, we want Spell Weaver on Miss, Paladin on Regret, and Bounty Tracker on Wukong. Here is an example of this team being used. Fourthly, we have Regret, Wukong and Ace. This is the most consistent tank counter team. We want Paladin on Regret, Ace to be on Guardian and Wukong to be on Bounty Tracker. Here is an example of this team being used. Fifthly, we have Donyang, Mercure and Scout. We want to make sure everyone on our team has at least 90% crit chance so Ares does not go ham, reflecting, killing us. This team uses poison and reflux to take down the tanky tank team. So we can put all our stats into crit chance so that we do not get reflected and killed, alongside effect resistance so that we do not get CC'd. Our main source of DPS will mainly be from our auto attacks being enhanced by magic reflux. For gear, we want Scout to be on Spellweaver, both Mercure and Donyang wants to be on the Avenger set. Here is an example of this team being used. Sixthly, we have Omok, Gungan and Donyang. This is a full DPS all-in team. Because we are triple magic, Goon Gun will be fully CC immune, allowing us to build full damage. We want Bounty Tracker set on both Omok and Goon Gun, Avenger set on Dongyang. Here is an example of this team being used. Seventhly, we have Nox, Rosie and Miss. This is the standard tank team used against any team that is tanky. If used against an enemy defense team with Ares deployed, make sure all your units have at least 90% critical strike chance to prevent Ares from reflecting us to death with her awakening passive skill. For gear, we want to run all 3 of our characters on Spellweaver set. Here is an example of this team being used.